Hey there, sorry here. So I'm going to do a level 99 no mods clear using my EX+1 Hyoh. I did throw a bunch more tickets at the banner and did not get a single Neo Vision. So my Hyoh is stuck at EX+1 until I can find some way to get some shards for him. I am considering doing the 30k Lapis on that curated NV banner that has, if you do all the steps for 30,000, it gives you a ticket at the end that you can actually use to get 50 shards for Hyoh. I'm considering doing that to make sure that I have an EX2 Hyoh in time for Clash of Wills, because otherwise I just have to kind of leave it up to fate and whether or not I can get the 20 shards I need from the shard dungeon in time. And yeah, we'll just see. I'm not really quite sure what I'm going to do about that yet, but anyways, clearing level 99 with an EX+1 Hyoh is perfectly doable. We're not doing any mods here. Here's the team that I'm using. My FTKO team worked all the way up to like level 95, and then trying to do level 99, it just wasn't working. But anyways, here is the team that we are working with. You may be looking at it and saying, whoa, you got like EX3 Genesis, EX3 Flaring Ether Rain. Not necessary. Like, the amount of overkill damage we're going to do is absolutely stupid. I'm doing a 4-turn clear on this one. You could very easily modify it to be a 2-turn clear. This boss is fairly squishy. You could easily modify it to be a 2-turn clear, especially if you have an EX2 Hyoh. Then basically all you're doing is just set up on turn 1, burst on turn 2, and even with the mitigations, you know, you would just you would take out Melissa, put in Kaito to roll back the undispellable buffs, and even with the mitigations that the boss has up on turn 2, you're still going to be able to kill this boss with this team. But I'm going to go all the way out to turn 4 to let all of the mitigations expire. So for those of you that may be struggling and you want to see how to survive for 3 turns to do like a 4-turn burst. You could even potentially stretch it out to 5 turns. I'm going to do 4 turns here. But basically the boss puts up these undispellable buffs that last for the first 3 turns. He won't reapply them until you pass the 75% threshold. So once they expire, you're good to go. So you could set up for a turn 5 burst if you wanted to, and that's perfectly fine. I'm going to do 4 turns. Let's see how we get it done. I will show you the gear at the end. All right, let's go ahead and just jump right in. Alright, so there you see the boss does that lovely gravity attack, but don't worry, we've got nothing to worry about on that one. So first thing we're going to do, we're just going to have Hyoh, we're going to have him break the boss, so he's going to be our dedicated breaker here. And then, actually, I'll tell you what, let's imbue himself first, and then let's do our breaks. Okay, so we'll do that, and that'll imbue everybody. Dwayne, we'll have him use his blood shield because it does some morale fill, and then we'll just hit the boss. Yeah, we'll just hit the boss with that. Okay. Melissa is just going to be here. Shared immunity, because the boss does throw some status ailments at you. It doesn't do status ailment down, but if you don't want to bother building your units for status immunity, that's, Melissa's there for it. But the boss does blind and paralyze to the party, so so make sure you have those covered. I think it also does confusion. It does silence, blind, paralyze, and I think confusion. So make sure you're resistant to all of those. Chronic flow for morale fill, parasol shield just for the human mitigations for the party. Alright, Esther, on this turn, she hasn't her auto cover up, so she's just going to do Storm Guardian, Energizing Bunny, which does our machine and demon killers for the party, and then True Storm Brand just to fill her LB. She's not here to deal damage, so we don't really care. We don't really care about her being imbued. Plus, Hyoh's going to get rid of it next turn anyways. So the thing about this boss is you do not want to hit it with magic damage unless you're going to kill it on that turn, because the boss will retaliate very, very strongly against elemental magic damage. I really love how they sold us Hyoh with this big leader skill that buffs Genesis, and then they totally just made life miserable if you use Genesis. Yeah, you notice how the boss doesn't have a defense buff up? Yeah, that's because Genesis. All right. They do not want you using Genesis on this Clash of Wills. It's just, it kills me. All right, Range is going to do Grace of Will. He can do Unyielding Conviction for the Human Killer. And then how about Pulverizing Force just to hit the boss? All right, so you notice that there were some attacks that that avoid cover. Those went to Melissa. All right, but she's fine. All right, she doesn't have to worry about it. Okay, we're gonna do. Yeah, we'll do Electromagnetic Shield. That's for the physical mitigation. And then Storm Defender, because we want her doing her regular cover with the higher mitigation, and then Boundless Stasis for the machine and demon mitigations. So now Esther has 55% human mitigation, 75% demon, 75% machine mitigation. So she's gonna take like 0 damage here. Esther is of course not required. You can definitely bring in Runda. Runda works just fine, and Hyoh does buff Runda with his leader skill. All right, on this turn, Hyoh is going to start. He's going to do the 89% breaks with the big fire imperil. So that's his Crimson Undermine, if it'll show it. There we go. We're going to start the ramp. All right, because since he's EX+1, he doesn't have his 150 amp. But everybody else has a 150, so it's not really that big of a deal. You could also just use his Mighty Flame at some point on the turn before the burst turn. All right, we're going to do Daunting Aura for the Imperil Field. So now the boss is going to have a 240% total Imperil to fire, which is massive. All right, Dwayne on this turn will use Arcane Supplementation. And we'll just do double Power Ravage to hit the boss. Melissa is going to do Curaga, Protectica, because we do have a magic, we do have a physical damage over time, so we do need to make sure that we're accounting for that. And then we'll just do Mints of Might for morale fill. All right, Rain on this turn will just do, on this turn he's going to do a stack of his LB, that's right. Genesis on this turn is just going to guard. We don't want to do anything with him that might accidentally deal damage to the boss. Okay, just make sure you don't pass the 75% threshold, or else he's going to put up all those buffs and mitigations again. All right, so you want to stay above 75% until turn 4. Okay. So on this turn, Esther is just going to do Triple Shatterbolt. All right, just for some morale fill. All right, Hyoh is going to do his, he'll do, which one does the, oh yeah, that one's fine. We'll do that. Refined Stance, because Refined Stance does the 40% Fist Imperil, and then Breaker Claw, just for some morale fill. All right, Dwayne is going to do his 150 amp. We'll do Stalwart Mantle for the physical mitigation and Power Ravage. Genesis will do Elemental Burst Fire, Fill LB, and a Loveless Preface. Just make sure you don't do anything that does magic damage. Okay. Rain can do Infiraga. Armor Grant Me the Power and Unyielding Conviction for the Human Killer. Melissa is going to do Human Killer on Hyoh. She'll do another Curaga to Make sure we don't die from the damage over time. And then she's going to end with Uncontrollable Darkness, because the boss is going to do a bunch of single target attacks that avoid cover and avoid provoke and all of that. Just want to make sure nobody dies from that. Now, it's important that you make sure Melissa is the last person to go, because you don't want anybody to hit the boss with anything other than fire on this turn. Okay, so this is going to imbue the boss with dark, so that any physical damage it does to anybody on the party is going to be converted to heals. Oh, I forgot to do Rain's 150 amp. That's all right. As you're going to see, it doesn't matter. He'll still have 100% from Hyoh. All right, so now I can do Melissa. Okay. So luckily the Hunter protocol actually went to, all of it went to Esther on that one, which is surprising. Usually it goes to Genesis. Like I feel like it was targeting Genesis, which doesn't surprise me. They really want to kill Genesis on this one. But the last few times I've done it, like they went to Genesis. But anyways, no big deal. All right, so we're ready for our burst turn. All of the boss's buffs and mitigations are gone, so we're going to shift Hyoh. He's going to do his Brave Shifted LB. Okay, you can see everything's gone. Dwayne, he has his SLB up, but his SLB does 0 damage, so we're just going to use Atonement. That way he chains with Flaring Ether Rain. Melissa is going to come down and give her Human Killer to Genesis, because he's going to deal the most damage out of everyone on the party. And then, yeah, honestly, just 2 more killers just for morale fill. You know, try and get the best score you can on the morale fill, right? Esther can just do 3 more Shatter Bolts. All right, that way you just get your 100 hit chain score in there. And Genesis does what Genesis does, Ancient Purgatory, all right? So I'm going to start with Hyoh, then do Dwayne, Rain, and Esther, wait a second, and then send Genesis, all right? So here we go. As you can see, like, we're absolutely murdering this boss. You know, Genesis does more than double the amount of HP all by himself, so you don't even need Genesis on this party. Look at, I mean, 15.6 billion. This boss is like super squishy at level 99 with no mods. So yeah, like killing the boss once all those buffs and everything are gone, because the mitigations are pretty steep. It's only like a 50% defense and spirit buff. It might be 100%, but the mitigations are 75% to physical and magic. So yeah, those are pretty steep. So yeah, I mean, look at that. Flaring Ether Rain and Hyoh both did enough damage to kill the boss by themselves. The boss only has 3 billion HP. Genesis, of course, did 7 billion. Dwayne doing 2. Dwayne's really just there for the arcane supplementation and to chain with Rain. That's all he's doing there. He can be EX0. Like, you know, you see how much overkill we're doing with this team. So, you know, when you see the team, you know, being like EX3, and when you see the gear, it's so much overkill. All right, so there's a lot of room there if your units just aren't quite as strong. So here's Hyoh. He's of course the leader. In his normal form, we don't really care too much about, you know, his gear in his normal form, because his normal form is not doing any kind of damage. So I didn't really finish gearing him. You notice I gave him Flaring Ether Rain's vision card. It works much better on Hyoh. And so, you know, that's the card that Hyoh wants, unless you went all the way for the special vision card on the vision card step up. If you did that, obviously you're going to put that in this slot. Okay, and his Brave Shift form is where we care about the damage. So he has his STMR there. If you don't have his STMR, just put a really strong greatsword. It just means you have to put his TMR somewhere in here, so he gets his trust passive. All right. He does need a Magister's Ring for Chain Cat boost until he hits EX2. Once he hits EX2, he actually has full Chain Cat boost, and you can switch that to like an Emperor's Ring or something. But yeah, otherwise, we're just making sure that he's got his status ailments covered, although you don't really need it with Melissa. But he has the innate ailment resist, so he has He has blind, confusion, and paralyze. The only thing he doesn't have is silence, but that's okay. So here are the killers that we used. So we've got A2's STMR in there. That's just to help cap up his TDH. Also gives 100% machine killer. So we've got machine, demon, human, full LB damage. He is good to go. All right, so that's Hyoh for you. Well, like I said, this is super overkill. All right, you could probably even get away with an EX0 Hyoh. As you can see, you didn't even need his damage. So if you have Genesis or if you have Flaring Ether Rain, you know, an EX1 Hyoh is probably going to be more than enough. So Esther, we didn't even bother with damage. She's just tanking this whole thing. So here is her tank build. Again, this is overkill. Super overkill. You don't even need the fire resist for this one. We never got to a point where the boss imbued himself with fire. So just use whatever you have to bulk her up. Her defense and her HP. Blizzard Orb is, of course, crucial for the counters to refill her LB gauge, because everything she does in her tank form uses her LB gauge. And then, yeah, this is all just bulk gear. Jex card, if you don't have it, use Power Cut. Power Cut works just as well. And like I said, if you don't have Esther for some reason, or if you would rather, you'd rather use Runda because it's a free EX3 unit, you know, you get more EX levels that way, use Runda. Runda's great, okay? Runda works just as well. Genesis is here doing, you know, big boy damage. So he's got his mag well over 17,000 now, thanks to Hyoh's leader skill. Mine is, of course, EX3. If yours is not, if yours is only EX1, EX1 Genesis is still going to slay the hell. An EX0 Genesis is probably going to slay this thing if you have all the proper gear for him. If you don't have Prophet's Diadem, no worries. He's still going to kill this thing. You know, hopefully you have either Moonlit Parade or Dazzling Demoness. I will say you probably need one of those in order to make Genesis do the, you know, enough damage to kill the boss. But you could probably even get away with using Practice Session, which is Oliveira's vision card. Honestly, this boss is like super squishy. He doesn't need much to cap up his killers. Black Submarine, Soldier's Expertise, which is from the Safer Sephiroth, EXT. Black Submarine, I think that is a limited materia, but you know, there are other ways to get those killers. And yeah, he's capped up on everything. Overcapped on Demon because he has Rameau, who has the killer break on that one. Dwayne, just built with swords. Cypher's Code is nice because it has human and machine killer on it. Alright, because building him for killers is a little bit tricky. Hero's Amulet is also nice because it has machine killer on it. And Genji Helm is just there for the paralyze and confusion resistance. But if you have Melissa on the party, you don't really need it. Mechanic for the Royal Family and Valued Memories for capping up his machine killer. Executioner Plus for the human killer. Alright, and then I gave him Wilkes card. That's just for the morale fill. Okay, that's all that's doing there. So he is capped on everything, almost capped on human, yeah. We didn't worry about LB damage because we aren't using his LB in this particular clear. Melissa, we don't care. Yeah, literally don't care what her gear is. It can be whatever. You know, you can just bulk her up however you want. Maybe focus more on defense in those instances where she takes the uncoverable physical attacks. So, you know, in my rank 1 clear, I'll probably bulk up her defense a little bit more. But, yeah, I mean, other than that, nothing really going on here. Rain, we don't care about his normal form. In his Brave Shift form, you know, just give him a lot of high attack gear. I gave him Moonshade Earring for the ailment resist, but if you have Melissa on the party, you don't need it. That was for another clear that I was doing where I didn't have Melissa. So if you don't have Melissa, or if you don't have someone boosting ailment resist, just gear everyone for ailment resist. The boss does not reduce your ailment resistance at all. Okay. But yeah, otherwise, you know, here are the killer materials that I gave him. I gave him this card, which is you get from EX3 Elena, which works really well on him. Okay. So he is capped on everything. Yep, human, machine, demon, full LB damage. He's good to go. All right, and that's everything. So yeah, I mean, that's a pretty simple, straightforward 4-turn clear. You could very easily turn it into a 2-turn clear. Like I said, if you've got an EX2 Hyoh, turn 1, just have him do the 89% break. the Imperil field, and then his 150 amp. Turn 2, he does his LB. Dwayne just does arcane supplementation on turn 1, does his fire imbue and his 150 amp. Flaring Ether Rain can honestly just do his 150 amp, his human killer, and an Infiraga maybe, or something like that. And then Genesis just does his setup with his 150 amp and his mag store, and you know that's your turn 1. And then turn 2, you just kill the boss. You have to bring Kaito, of course, to roll away all of the spirit buffs, so that Genesis can deal enough damage. But yeah, even with the mitigations in place, you know, 75% off of 15 billion is still over 3 billion. So, you know, that gives you some idea. You could easily turn this into a two-turn clear, you know, but I'll leave that to you. I wanted to do a 4-turn clear because that's more accessible from a wider variety of people. But anyways, that's just the first level 99 clear that I wanted to show you guys. I'll do some more with different teams and different units. You know, I'll get as many done as I can today, but yeah, just stay tuned. I'll definitely be putting out more clears over the week. Maybe even get a rank 1 clear out there for you guys. Once my Hyoh hits EX2, I'll definitely start working on my rank 1 clear. So thank you guys so much for following me, and I will see you on the other side.